In the highlands of Ethiopia, where the wind whispers secrets of ancient civilizations and the landscape is dotted with timeless churches, lies a sacred treasure that few outside of Ethiopia truly know: the Ethiopian Bible. This Bible, with its vast and unique collection of books, is not only a theological foundation for millions of Ethiopian Orthodox Christians, but also a symbol of cultural and spiritual survival against centuries of suppression and erasure. It's a story that begins with the birth of Christianity in Ethiopia and stretches through centuries of isolation, resistance, and revival. In this journey, we will explore how the Ethiopian Bible, with its 88 books and ancient sacred texts, including the Book of Enoch and the Book of Jubilees, became both a cornerstone of Ethiopian identity and the subject of political and religious suppression by the Western world. What makes this Bible so unique, and why were certain books included in the Ethiopian canon which were excluded from the Western Christian Bible? The answers lie within Ethiopia's early Christian history, its theological divergence from the Western world, and the social and political forces that have shaped the Church's survival through time. The roots of Ethiopian Christianity stretch back to the very foundations of the faith. Christian tradition holds that Christianity was brought to Ethiopia by the Apostle Matthew, who converted the Ethiopian royal court to Christianity. However, historical records point to the 4th century as the official adoption of Christianity as the state religion by King Azana of the Aksumite Empire. It was during his reign that Christianity became the official religion of Ethiopia, setting the stage for the unique development of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. This was not just the acceptance of a foreign faith, but the beginning of a profound transformation that would intertwine Christianity with the cultural and political fabric of Ethiopian society. The Ethiopian Bible emerged as a direct reflection of this deep integration of Christianity with Ethiopia's national identity. Unlike the Bibles found in Western Christianity, the Ethiopian Bible contained additional books, making it a distinct canon. The Ethiopian Bible is unique in that it includes up to 88 books, compared to the 66 found in the Protestant Bible and 73 in the Catholic Bible. Some of these additional texts include the Book of Enoch, the Book of Jubilees, and the Maccabees, among others. These texts offer a different perspective on Christian theology, particularly in their treatment of angels, the nature of sin, and the history of the Jewish people. The Book of Enoch, in particular, is one of the most significant of these additional texts. It presents a detailed account of the fallen angels, referred to as the Watchers, and their interactions with humanity. This narrative, which is mentioned in passing in the Bible, is expanded upon in Enoch, offering insights into early Jewish Christian beliefs about sin and the relationship between the divine and the human. It also introduces the idea of the Nephilim, a race of giants who were the offspring of the Watchers and human women. This book, along with others like the Book of Jubilees, provides an understanding of the early Jewish-Christian connection, a perspective that is largely absent in the Western versions of the Bible. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church, from its inception, accepted these books as canonical, keeping them preserved through centuries of political, social, and theological changes. The Ethiopian Bible became more than just a religious text. It became a symbol of Ethiopia's unique Christian identity. While the Western Church began to define its canon through various councils, such as the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD and the Council of Carthage in 397 AD, Ethiopia maintained its own theological traditions, which included these additional books. This divergence in canon led to the Ethiopian Bible's exclusion from the broader Christian community, but it also ensured its survival in Ethiopia, where it remained deeply intertwined with the country's religious and cultural practices. As the Christian Church in the Mediterranean region sought to establish orthodoxy and unify its beliefs, many books and teachings were declared heretical and excluded from the canon. The Book of Enoch, for example, was considered too mystical, and its teachings about angels and the end times were seen as dangerous. Similarly, the Book of Jubilees, which recounts the history of the world from a more Jewish perspective, was deemed incompatible with the emerging Christian identity. The process of canonization in the West focused on aligning the Bible with the Roman Empire's political and theological needs, which led to the exclusion of texts that did not fit within the narrow framework of doctrine that was being established. Despite this exclusion, the Ethiopian Church continued to uphold its own canon, keeping these ancient texts alive. For centuries, the Ethiopian Bible was passed down through generations in its unique form. Preserved in monasteries and churches throughout Ethiopia, it became a sacred text not just for religious reasons, but also as a symbol of Ethiopian cultural pride and resilience. The Italian colonizers sought to undermine Ethiopia's sovereignty and its unique religious traditions. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church, with its distinctive Bible, was seen as a threat to the colonial powers' efforts to control and assimilate the country. Under Italian rule, many Ethiopian religious texts, including the Ethiopian Bible, were threatened with destruction. Monasteries were looted, and the sacred scrolls were hidden in remote locations to prevent them from being confiscated or destroyed. The church itself became a symbol of resistance against foreign occupation, and its scriptures were seen as a representation of Ethiopia's independence and cultural heritage. The Italians attempted to suppress this heritage, but the Ethiopian Orthodox Church and its Bible proved resilient. The sacred texts were hidden away in caves and remote monasteries, where they remained protected from the forces that sought to erase them from history. Even after Ethiopia regained its independence, the Ethiopian Bible continued to face marginalization. Western Christianity, with its standardized canon, continued to view the Ethiopian Bible as a relic of a past that was not in line with the modern Christian identity. Theologians in Europe and America often ignored or dismissed the Ethiopian canon, and the books that were included in the Ethiopian Bible remained largely unknown outside of Ethiopia. However, in the 20th century, scholars and theologians began to recognize the importance of the Ethiopian Bible. As the world became more interconnected and interest in ancient religious texts grew, the unique status of the Ethiopian Bible became more widely known. The discovery of ancient manuscripts and the study of texts like the Book of Enoch and the Book of Jubilees sparked a renewed interest in the Ethiopian Bible. Scholars began to appreciate the role that these texts played in the early development of Christian theology and how They shed light on the diversity of early Christian beliefs. Today, the Ethiopian Bible stands as a testament to the enduring power of faith and identity. Despite centuries of suppression, it remains a living part of Ethiopia's religious and cultural heritage. Its unique collection of texts offers a different perspective on Christian theology and history, one that is rooted in the Ethiopian experience and its relationship with Christianity. While the Western world may have sought to erase it, the Ethiopian Bible has survived, not only as a religious text, but as a symbol of Ethiopia's resilience and spiritual independence. The Ethiopian Bible, with its unique collection of 88 books, stands as a testament to the country's deep-rooted Christian history and spiritual resilience. For centuries, it faced exclusion, suppression, and attempts at erasure both by religious authorities and colonial powers. Yet, it survived. This sacred text, brimming with ancient stories, was not just a spiritual document. It was a symbol of Ethiopia's resistance to foreign domination, its cultural pride, and its unwavering faith. In this part, we will explore the struggle for the Ethiopian Bible's survival, the period of obscurity it faced under Western theological and colonial forces, and its eventual revival in modern times. The journey of the Ethiopian Bible from near erasure to rediscovery reflects the broader struggles of Ethiopian identity itself. By exploring the Ethiopian Bible's survival, we uncover a deeper understanding of Ethiopia's unique relationship with Christianity and its broader significance in the world's religious and cultural heritage. The resilience of the Ethiopian Bible cannot be understood without looking at the layers of forces that attempted to suppress it. From the very moment Christianity was established in Ethiopia, the nation set out to define its own religious path, one that distinguished itself from the Western world. Ethiopia, with its early conversion to Christianity in the 4th century under King Azana, formed an independent and unique interpretation of the Christian faith that grew in isolation from the rest of Christendom. This isolation allowed the Ethiopian Orthodox Church to keep its ancient texts intact, including those books that were excluded from the Western canon, such as the Book of Enoch, Jubilees, and the Maccabees. However, as Western Christianity solidified its canonical structure through councils like the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD, the Ethiopian Bible was relegated to the fringes of Christian tradition. It was seen as a relic, a curiosity different, perhaps even inferior, to the versions of the Bible that prevailed in Europe and the Mediterranean. The exclusion of the Ethiopian Bible from the Christian canon marked the beginning of its long journey into obscurity. Not because of a lack of theological value, but because it presented a different theological vision, one that incorporated Jewish laws, apocalyptic visions, and a rich angelology that many in the Western Church found challenging or incompatible with their understanding of Christianity. As the centuries wore on, the Ethiopian Bible's survival was further threatened by colonial powers that sought to impose their own interpretations of Christianity. During the Italian occupation of Ethiopia in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church became a primary target of colonial repression. The Italians, seeking to weaken Ethiopian identity, attempted to suppress both the Church and its ancient scriptures. The colonial forces viewed the Ethiopian Bible, along with the Church itself, as symbols of resistance to European control. Monasteries were looted, churches were destroyed, and sacred texts were either hidden or destroyed to prevent them from inspiring nationalist sentiment. However, Ethiopia's religious heritage proved resilient. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church and its followers, committed to preserving their faith and heritage, took extraordinary measures to protect the Bible. Sacred texts were hidden away in remote monasteries and mountain caves, where they could not be easily reached by foreign forces. In many cases, these texts were passed down orally or through the diligent efforts of monks and priests who painstakingly transcribed them onto parchment and scrolls, ensuring that the Ethiopian Bible would continue to be preserved for future generations. Despite the challenges posed by colonialism, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church managed to maintain a significant portion of its sacred texts. By the time Ethiopia regained its sovereignty, the Ethiopian Bible had remained largely intact, though still marginalized by the broader Christian world. The exclusion of the Ethiopian Bible from Western theological discourse meant that its full significance was largely overlooked, and its rich collection of texts remained unknown to most outside of Ethiopia. It was not until the 20th century that a renewed interest in the Ethiopian Bible began to surface. As the world became more connected through the process of globalization, scholars from around the world began to recognize the importance of the Ethiopian Bible. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church's adherence to a more expansive canon, which included texts such as the Book of Enoch, a text that had been cited in the New Testament but was excluded from the Western canon, offered a fresh perspective on early Christian beliefs. The discovery of ancient manuscripts in Ethiopia sparked interest in these long-forgotten texts. In the 1950s and 1960s, with the rise of biblical archaeology and the development of new scholarly methods for studying ancient texts, the Book of Enoch and other apocryphal works found within the Ethiopian Bible began to attract the attention of scholars. These texts, previously considered marginal or heretical by the Western Church, were now recognized as important windows into the early development of Christian theology. The Book of Enoch, for instance, revealed a complex angelology that was surprisingly influential in the early Christian period, and it offered new insights into the belief system that was prevalent in pre-Christian Jewish circles. This rediscovery of the Ethiopian Bible was not confined to academic circles. As Ethiopian Christians began to see the growing recognition of their sacred texts, they too felt a sense of pride in their unique religious heritage. The Ethiopian Bible, once marginalized, began to gain recognition as a key part of the global Christian tradition. Moreover, in the wake of the decolonization movements in Africa and the subsequent rise of Ethiopian nationalism, there was a resurgence of interest in the country's ancient Christian heritage. For Ethiopians, their Bible was not just a religious text. It was a symbol of their cultural resilience and their ability to preserve their identity in the face of external pressures. As Ethiopia moved into the modern era, the Ethiopian Bible came to represent not just faith, but also the struggle for sovereignty and the protection of cultural heritage. The revival of interest in the Ethiopian Bible also had a broader impact on the understanding of early Christianity. The inclusion of texts like the Book of Enoch and the Book of Jubilees in the Ethiopian canon provided new insights into the religious landscape of the early Christian world. These texts shed light on the diversity of early Christian thought and the ways in which early Christian communities interpreted Scripture. They also emphasized the connection between Christianity and Judaism, particularly in their shared apocalyptic visions and angelology. As modern scholars delved deeper into these texts, they discovered that the Ethiopian Bible offered a different way of viewing salvation, sin, and the nature of the divine. The theological depth of the Ethiopian Bible, particularly its expansive narrative about angels, demons, and the end times, opened up new avenues for biblical scholarship and theological debate. Today, the Ethiopian Bible remains a vital part of Ethiopian culture, with millions of Ethiopians still adhering to its teachings and practices. It is preserved in its original language, Ge'ez, and continues to be used in Ethiopian Orthodox worship. The revival of interest in the Ethiopian Bible is also reflected in the growing number of translations and academic studies dedicated to understanding its texts. Scholars from around the world now recognize the Ethiopian Bible as one of the most important sources for understanding the early Christian Church and the development of Christian theology. The Ethiopian Bible's journey from near erasure to revival is a story of survival against the odds. It is a testament to the strength of faith, the power of cultural identity, and the resilience of a community that refused to let its sacred texts be forgotten. The Ethiopian Bible is not just a relic of the past. It is a living, breathing testament to Ethiopia's unique place in the history of Christianity and the world. Through its survival, the Ethiopian Bible continues to offer new insights into the past, while remaining a vital part of Ethiopia's religious and cultural identity. The struggle for the survival and revival of the Ethiopian Bible is far from over. As the world continues to grapple with questions of faith, identity, and cultural preservation, the Ethiopian Bible stands as a beacon of resilience and a reminder that even the most marginalized traditions can find new life in the modern world. The book they tried to erase will never be forgotten, for it is a story that lives on in the hearts of millions of believers and scholars alike, ensuring that its legacy endures for generations to come.